There are different forms of communication. When we talk about the different forms, we have discussed that probably when we talk about the broader context of communication, it is divided into two segments. One is verbal, the other one is non-verbal. Whenever we talk about verbal, verbals are related to oral or written communication. Whenever we are talking about non-verbal, non-verbal is maximum times it is connected to your body language. When you talk about your expressions, when you are talking about the hand movements, the kind of movements that are made by our hand while talking, while interacting with others, that is called as gesture. The kind of posture that we carry. Say, for example, how do I sit? How do I stand? How do I walk? How do I listen? How do I bend my body? So every movement of your body will convey some or the other information that is called as body language. Similarly, when you are shaking hand, whenever you are moving with people, how do you hold hand of other person? How do you impact by having that touch contact with the other person by means of touch? That is again a part of body language. So the distance that we maintain, which is called as proximity, the space that we maintain from one body to the other body, from one person to the other person, is called as proximity. So we understood that there can be different ways of non-verbal communication. Along with body, we also should keep in our mind that there are different symbols. Say, for example, when you are crossing road, you must have seen there is something which is called as zebra crossing, no honking region, trespassers will be prohibited. So there can be different signs and symbols which you all must have seen on different parking lot or in the public places near schools, hospitals, and the other important places. So, those are again part of non-verbal communication. You are not speaking, you are not saying, you are just presenting with the help of certain sign and symbols. Say, for example, when we talk about traffic rules, moment you see red light, and if you're riding a bike, you will immediately stop your bike because the red asks us or that conveys that we should stop our vehicle. Similarly, the moment the color is green or it is orange, you are ready to move. So these all are part of non-verbal communication. Now, when we talk about this communication part, when we have moved ahead, we also studied that there is a process between the sender and receiver. There is a message that one wants to communicate, and this message can be communicated with certain mode. It could be face-to-face interaction, it could be telephonic conversation, it could be written communication, or it could be video conferencing. But whenever we talk about flow of communication, there can be different barriers. There could be some barrier. Because of that barrier, what happens? We may encounter some problem. We may find difficulty in identifying what is right with our communication, what is wrong with our communication, and then certainly what happens? We come across with these barriers. And yesterday we started our class with the barriers. Just to give you a quick glimpse of what we have done yesterday, we discussed about the different barriers that comes across whenever we are communicating. So when we communicate, we may come across physical barriers. Please remember time and again, physical barriers very easy to eliminate. Say, for example, if you are finding difficulty in matching the time, you can avoid it. You can have a conversation with the person and you can fix up the time. Similarly, if the place is difficulty, for example, you are living in a hill region or you are living in remote villages where telephonic conversation is again difficult, channel connecting people with the different channels, again, it is difficult. So you can change the place. The space that we maintain between one person to the other person, that could be developed when we are having or when we build up that relationship, when we are bridging the gap. Climate, again, by time it could be changed. Noise, if you want, you can avoid the noise, you can change the position and then automatically you can curb noise, or even you can stop noise, right? So choice of medium, again, this again depends on us. Whatever the medium that we have applied can be eliminated, proven, or given certain time. So keep this in your mind, boys and girls, whenever we talk about physical, environmental barriers, these can be easily eliminated. Of course, they are very, very important. they create different kind of barriers, so we can get rid of them. Then when we talk about semantic barrier, as I have stated yesterday also, different languages will have different meaning of the different words. So when we don't understand the exact word meaning in that particular place, whatever the people are using, we may come across with problems. So that is called a semantic barrier. Cultural barrier, again, of course, different culture will have different aspirations. We follow different culture in India. We see people following different religions in India. And we again keep seeing that because of the cultural gap, what happens? There is a clash, there is a row, there is a fight between two different caste people or two different religion people. Why? Because there is a gap in their communication. Once when this gap is eliminated, automatically you will see both can live together. So cultural barriers, of course, are one of the crucial barriers. The last two, very, very difficult to fight against. Attitudinal barrier, change in the mindset and the perception. Whatever the mindset that you carry, you start developing it as your habit. You start developing it as something which is part and parcel of your life. Say, for example, few of the people who are very, very old, they have their own set of thinking and they follow it as their habit. They have brought it in their routine life. It is very difficult to fight. I repeat, it is very difficult to eliminate something which is called as perceptional barrier or attitudinal barrier. Can we eliminate these? Of course, we can eliminate this. But for this, what you have to do, you have to bring effectiveness in your communication. How can we bring effectiveness in our communication? We are going to discuss this in some other class. But for today, you need to identify that these are set of barriers. And then we discussed that from sender's point of view, whenever we are talking about the sender, from the sender's point of view, of course, these are certain common barriers. To give you a quick glimpse, we talked about if we don't have the right set of message, I am not able to create right message, it will lead to lack of preparation. People cannot understand my thought. I have my attitude, problem with my attitude. Either I am a person with superior attitude or a person with ego. You can see the next one, I attitude or feeling of superiority, which again leads to barrier in communication. Mental blockage. I don't want to change my mindset. I am unaware of this particular language. Again, it will lead to communication gap. This is what we are going to start from today. Now, when we talk about bypassing is something which we neglect, which we ignore, which we don't take into consideration. And if we are not taking into consideration, what is going to happen? We will not be able to understand what we have to communicate. Say, for example, your best friend, he was on a telephonic communication and he said something to you which you did not hear because your mind was engaged into something else. What will happen? Whatever he had stated, as you did not hear, as you did not pay attention, you could hear only couple of words, but you did not hear, or your intention was something else. Your mind was thinking something else. So what is going to happen? You will not be able to work according to him or according to her given instruction. Why? Because you did not listen to the complete message. This is called as bypassing. Many a times we reach to the conclusion without listening to the complete statement. This happens. If you want to say something, often you will see people saying, okay, I understood. How could they understand when you are not even completing your sentence? You did not even convey the things in a complete way. So you have to stop bypassing. What do we understand by bypassing, dear? Where people will not listen to the speaker in totality. Whenever speaker is willing to speak, but if we cut short him or her and we do not allow them to convey the complete message or information, that is called as bypassing. We have to avoid bypassing if we really want to improve our communication. This will also help us to overcome the barrier. Hence, whenever we are reading, we should read complete message. Whenever we are listening, we should listen to the complete message. Whenever we are writing, we have to write the complete message. Whenever we are doing any work, we have to do it in entirety, in totality. You cannot stop things in between. The next is frame of reference. What do we understand by frame of reference? Now, there are certain mindsets which are there. This is related to, once again, the mental block. Because of that mindset, what happens? We believe this is what the truth is. Say, for example, if I talk about the foreign countries, they all believe India is still the land of snake charmers. I don't know how many of you have seen a snake charmer. Of course, you all must have seen in village or maybe at different places. But everywhere you will not find a snake charmer these days. But still, when we go to some foreign country, they believe India is a poor country. They haven't seen India flourishing. They don't even know whether the people of India are really rich or poor. But because of the frame of reference, now, I don't know how many of you know this or not, but in the year 1835, 36, when there was a viceroy, I'm forgetting the name of the viceroy, but when India was ruled by East India Company, believe me, they were struggling to find people who were poor. And in the span of just 110 years, India was termed as poor country, and they believe that India needs a guidance, India needs support, India needs a proper leadership, India needs someone who can manage and maintain them. And they have looted us, they have taken away our wealth, and they made people believe across the country that Indians are not educated. Whereas Indians were far better educated when compared to the English. The only problem was we were not knowing this language called English, and they believed if people don't know English, that means they are illiterate, they are uneducated. So we need to change this frame of reference, and that is the reason why I emphasize that a person these days, if you really want to be a great communicator, you should speak different languages. If you have to communicate somebody within the language that is spoken in that particular region, be very confident and speak only in that particular language. But when you have to communicate with somebody who is not knowing that particular language, you should not hesitate. Hence, be a multilinguistic. You have to get rid of that frame of references so that you can become a great speaker, you can become a great listener, and because of good speaking and listening skill, you can overcome the barrier of communication. Distraction. We know this while reading. All of a sudden, if your mother calls you with your name, you cannot listen to whatever I'm explaining because you got distracted. Distraction could be physical or mental. Uh, Say, for example, you are using your mobile phone. All of a sudden, it has fallen down out of your hand and then the screen broke. You will be mentally upset, and then you cannot listen to whatever the teacher was explaining, though you were able to hear her or hear him. So please keep this in your mind. Distraction could be physical or mental. Any kind of disturbance, any kind of problem wherein the flow of thought and communication breaks, that is called as distraction. And the distraction could be physical or mental. And because of this distraction, what happens? You cannot concentrate, and if you really want to concentrate, you have to avoid and eliminate distraction. Many times over and under communication, sometimes people talk too much, and sometimes certain people, they don't talk at all. So you should know the limit. If you really want to know what do we understand by good communication, how much to speak, when to speak, how to speak, to whom to speak, these are very, very important questions, and you have to keep these in your mind so that you can identify who the audience is. Say, for example, if you are talking to a kid who is just 8 or 9 year old, you have to identify his IQ level. You need to understand what are his interests, and then your communication should exactly bend or should exactly mold in the way the child is going to develop and generate the interest. But if you're talking to a person who is in near 40s or near 50s, you have to change your tone. You have to change the way you're going to structure your sentence. You have to bring that intensity in your tone. You have to really show that I am a person with great knowledge. I have equal understanding like yours, and I can communicate even with you. This is what in the management organizations they expect from you. Though you're a fresher, but they want to see that as a fresher, how well and how quickly you can manage and you can get accustomed with the rules, with the policies, with the regulations that are set in an organization. So, boys and girls, please keep this in your mind whenever we talk about communication. Over communication means talking too much without giving any relevant thought. Under communication, not even speaking what is required. These two will lead to barrier. And finally, loss of impact. When we are not creating that right impact with our communication, again, that will lead to confusion, that will lead to dilemma, that will lead to misunderstanding among the people. Right? Say, let me talk with you all. Say, for example, when your father says, "Are the classes going on?" Your answer is monosyllabus. You'll just say, हाँ, चल रहा है, हाँ चल रहा है, हो रहा है. These are the way you people answer, which again disconnects you with the audience. And if this हाँ हो रहा है चल रहा है, if this gets converted from the statement that you have stated to the statements like, yes, my classes are going on, it is scheduled from so and so time to so and so time, and I'm enjoying my class. With that beautiful smile on your face, you will see your father or mother or your sister or brother, even the elder or younger one, they will give more importance to what you are saying. Your one monosyllable answer will create disinterest, will generate disinterest. That lack of incomplete information, lack of information that you are sharing with the people, incomplete information automatically leads to miscommunication or a gap between speaker and listener. Hence, always remember, think many times and speak in an effective way. If you really want to be a great speaker, you have to follow all these that we have discussed. You should inform the people with right information, get rid of superiority attitude, get rid of that ego state of mind, work with team, work for team, work in team. You need to break the mental blockage. You have to learn more number of languages so that you can communicate effectively with everybody whom so you're going to interact with. Don't bypass the information. Don't have a restricted frame of reference of understanding. Avoid distractions. As I stated, over communication as well as under communication, both are very dangerous. We should neither under communicate nor over communicate. Know what is relevant, how much to convey, to whom to convey, to what is the purpose behind communication, why you should communicate with the person. And finally, you should not lose the impact. Losing the impact will lead to gap in the communication. So these are the common things that you have to keep in your mind when you are working as a communicator in the shoes of speaker, when you are speaking to someone, when you are communicating to someone. Now, the communication, as I stated, is a two-way communication. There has to be a sender. Simultaneously, the sender, whomsoever they are trying to communicate with, there will be a receiver. If there is no receiver, there is no point of view of sending the information. So, what are the roles and what are the responsibilities as a sender that you have followed? Similarly, as a receiver, the others will have to work out. The first one is when you are acting as a receiver, that means you are a person who is listening. Right now, I'm speaking. I should follow all those 10 commandments that I have mentioned in the last two slides. Now, these are the things that as a listener, you all should follow. Mental turbulence, which I've already stated even in the sender's oriented barrier. You cannot be distracted mentally. You have to have a proper balance of your mental. Say, for example, if your mind is engaged into one thing, you cannot force your mind to get engaged into something else. If you do so, you are doing injustice with both the action. Hence, disturbances related to your mental ability to think or force to think or the thought process or flow of thought can be eliminated if you are mentally disturbed. So force your mind or be very positive whenever you are listening something. Don't force your mind to get engrossed or get engaged into two things. Say, for example, right now, if you're attending my class, you cannot WhatsApp with your friends. You cannot chat with your friends. You cannot watch TV and you cannot even attend classes. You have to do only one thing at one time. You cannot sail on two boats. You have to focus on one single thing so that you can be more reliable. Reliable means a person who can be believed, who can be trustworthy, who can be trusted, like the person who are trustworthy. So be a reliable person and check whether you are doing valid things or not. The next is ineffective grasp of message. When you are mentally disturbed, automatically you will see you will not get the information rightly. You cannot grasp. Grasping means getting the information, finding right information, or compiling or assembling the complete information. You cannot do that. And because of that, what happens? There is lack of knowledge. How can you get rid of this? By looking or by focusing on what the person is saying. So grasp the knowledge, collect the knowledge, assemble the knowledge. If you fail in assembling the knowledge, you cannot communicate. Say, for example, I want to assign an assignment to you all. Now, after that, if I say something, but in case if you have heard only till, I am going to share an assignment and assignment would be given to you all. But now, if you start thinking only about the assignment without listening further, what the assignment is, it is going to create the gap. So, grasp the information completely. Don't listen to partial messages. Partial means incomplete messages. All right. Ineffectiveness is different here. Incomplete is different. Ineffective means you cannot understand. Now, say that is what I believe. I, being the teacher for this particular subject called communication, what I believe is many a times I come across with great speakers, but the problem with the great speakers is either they are ineffective or they have half knowledge. As we have already read in our childhood days, half knowledge is more dangerous than having no knowledge. So please remember, we should not have partial message. Partial messages are very dangerous. Why partial messages are dangerous? Because that can create distrust, that can create a problem, that can create confusion, that can create again lots of confusion in the mind of the sender or even on the other end parties. And why? Because they could not understand each other in the right way. So partial messages again is a big problem. Difference in reception and comprehension. Say, for example, I request you all to write down your name on a piece of paper in capital letters. And after that, try to identify who all are related to you in your personal life and then how they are helping in achieving your goal, in achieving your career objective. Now, when I ask you to listen to this and then to comprehend, if you don't listen to the complete sentence, you cannot comprehend it in a proper way. Comprehension means understanding and then delivering. Let me explain it with the help of an example. You're watching a movie. The movie is of 2 hours 20 minutes. You watched it till 1 hour 30 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes, and you don't know what had happened in the conclusion. Now, if somebody asks you about the movie, you're going to tell only till the point you have watched it. You cannot add your own information into it. Now, if you add your own information, that means you are once again bypassing. You are sharing partial information. Because you have understood in a wrong way, you are going to even comprehend in a wrong way. So keep this in your mind. Comprehensions means after reading, what is it that you understood? What is it that you are trying to share? And how much importance does it has in the mind or on the mind of the others? So don't have that preoccupied mind. Always remember, once when somebody says something, you should counter check it. Say, for example, how can you avoid this? How can you get rid of this barrier? That is difference in reception and comprehension. You can check it and recheck it by asking people. Once again, let me give you a small example. I don't know how many of you order things on Zomato or Domino's or anything. any of these places who deliver food. Once when you order them online, they reconfirm. I don't know how many of you had been to hotel. When you order the food to the waiter will immediately, he'll not go to kitchen and he's not going to bring the food. What he does after you order it, he is going to, first of all, when you are ordering, he is receptive. That means he is listening to your order and he notes it down. And then after noting it down, he will repeat your order. What is he doing? He is comprehending. I repeat, the waiter who takes your order is listening to you. He notes it down and then he reads, sir or ma'am, this is your order. Do you confirm it? And then when you say, yes, this is my order, please bring it as soon as you can. Then they'll go to kitchen, they prepare the food, and then the yummy and delicious food is in front of you, isn't it? So what the person has done, he has recepted, that means he has obtained the information, he comprehended, he understood the information, then he presented the information, that whether this information that I was able to listen and understand is exactly the same like what you wanted to convey. This is very, very important. Maximum time in management organization, when you're working in team, when you're working in group, you believe that I am a good communicator. I said something to my friends and they all can understand. They understood. And then you allow them to work. But the day when somebody has to present, the day when they have to finally submit a report, or the day when they are finally assembling to give that big presentation, you will see they are not doing exactly the way you wanted them to do. Why? Because though they heard, though they listened, they failed to comprehend exactly the same message that you wanted to deliver. Hence, you should always keep in your mind, you should check, recheck your information. Even distance, the speaker. Say, for example, if I am face to face having a conversation with a person and the distance that I'm maintaining is too far, I cannot judge, I cannot evaluate what the other person is saying. Delay in evaluation, we have to always keep this in our mind. If you cannot hear a person, you should say, excuse me, sir, I could not hear you. Excuse me, ma'am, can you please repeat it? When you do so, what are you doing? You are evaluating, you are judging what the person had said. Now, you should not be scared. If I ask the person to repeat, what is he going to think? What is she going to think? They're not going to think anything because you could not understand, you could not interpret, you could not hear in a proper way. You have requested for a reconfirmation, or you are asking the person to repeat what he or she had stated. So please avoid the barrier related to distancing. Misunderstanding. This is a common thing. Whatever you said, the person could not understand because of the misunderstanding, and due to which the person could not act accordingly. So these sort of barriers can be eliminated by the sender to the receiver, by reassuring, by reconfirming. All right. Biased listening. Biased listening is very, very important. Biased listening is also called as projective or selective listening. What do we understand by projective or selective or biased listening? We listen only what we want to hear. Even if somebody is saying 20 times, 30 times, 100 times to do something, we don't pay attention to their words. We are boss of our own life. We follow what we want to do. We like to do only things that we wish to do. So therefore, if somebody is saying something good, we don't take it as, oh, look, that person is sharing the feedback because he wants me to improve. We are never positive. We don't take feedbacks in a constructive way. What is our thinking? How dare he points out at my mistake? How dare she pointing out my mistake? Why should I listen to him? Why should I listen to her? And because of these thoughts, what are happening? You will not at all listen to them. This is called as biased listening. You are choosing what to listen, what not to listen. You are again very protective. You are very focused on what you want to project on. Hence, these kind of listening is also called as selective, projective, or biased listening. This happens in every family. This happens in every organization. This happens even in every friendly relationship. Whatever your friends are saying, even as a friend, when you are sharing something very important to your friend, you will see that they listen only to those points which they are interested to. Otherwise, they'll just ignore, isn't it? Now, why are they ignoring? Because they were not keen, they were not interested, they were not liking that piece of message. Hence, you have to keep repeating it. That is the strategy. You have to concentrate on the message and you have to keep repeating it. Repetition of that message will help people to at least listen to you once, twice, thrice, and then ultimately bring that positive change. And that is the reason why in our schools, in our colleges, even in our organization, wherever we are going to work, people will keep repeating till the time you're not going to change. Even you, once when you are become a senior most manager, you will see that one good thing, if your junior is not obeying you, if your junior is not following the rules and regulation, if the junior is not following the policy, what he or she is going to do? He is disobeying you. But you're not going to listen to him or her. You will not even entertain their disobedience. What are you going to do? You're going to try your level best to bring that change by sending, sharing information, maybe 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. You may send emails on regular basis. You may have a direct conversation with the person on regular basis. You may have a telephonic conversation with the person on regular basis till the time you are not going to see that positive change. The last is very, very important. Lack of provision of correct feedback. We don't get or we don't share correct feedback. Why we don't share correct feedback? Because we are scared of sharing feedbacks. Why are we scared of sharing feedback? Simple reason, very, very simple reason. The reason is we believe if I share, how are they going to understand and interpret? There can be gap, there can be differences. Say, for example, if you are sharing a feedback related to the way I teach, probably you are not able to understand. I accept this. But in order to make you understand, I may have to teach or I may have to inform, I may have to instruct, I may have to convey these sessions or I may have to deliver these sessions many a times. But if the day when I receive a feedback saying that I did not understand what madam was teaching or what Niru was teaching, and if I start thinking that how dare he say so, how dare she say so. Now, if this is the way I'm going to get the feedback and understand the feedback and take the feedback, I will create a communication gap. That is called as barrier in communication. Rather, what one should do, the strategy that you should build is listen to the people carefully, understand why they are sharing such feedback, and how can you help them in developing the positive bent of mind or the positive attitude. When you are able to understand the reasons, certainly you will see that you are trying to overcome not only their problem but will also bridge the gap. You will also develop a better relationship between you and the others. So let me once again reiterate, when we talk about receiver's point of view, the person who is listening, from the listener's point of view, we discussed about mental turbulence, we discussed about ineffective grasp of information, then we discussed about partial grasp of message, we talked about the differences in the reception and comprehension, we have discussed about distancing from the speaker. We talked about the misunderstanding, the biased listening, and lack of provision of correct feedback. I'll give you a small break over here, break in the sense, not breaking the class, but to think and to give me whether you are able to understand all these. Or do I have to once again explain any of the term which you could not understand? Quickly in the chat box, can we proceed ahead? If you want me to proceed ahead, can I get quickly in the chat box BIO? Bring it on so that I can bring on the next slide. If you have any doubts, dear, don't hesitate in writing and don't hesitate in sharing, because Please remember, more you are clearing your doubts, this helps me to understand that yes, my students are on the same page, they are willing to learn, they are keen to listen, and I will be more than happy to clear your doubts. Please. So, is there any doubt related to any of the topic that we have discussed, right from sender's perspective as well as receiver's perspective? Thank you, Farid Alam, for giving me that BIO, but I'm looking for even the responses from others. So, I should know from every one of you, are you all able to understand all the things? And don't hesitate. I don't want everyone to give me a copy paste information. Thanks, Aradhna, but I really believe that you have understood all the concepts, dear. Similarly, thank you, Jyotsna. But I hope, Jyotsna, even you too could understand the sender's perspective, dear, as well as the receiver's perspective. So thank you, Dayakan, for that. Thank you, Silky, saying, what about the other students who are attending? Can I come to know from Sunny Kumari as well as from the other participants if you in case have any doubts. Like Prashant, if there are any doubts, I'll be more than happy to clear them, dear. So if you have any doubts, don't hesitate in asking. Should I repeat something? Please let me know. All right. Thank you, Prashant. And what about fine, fair enough. So these are the common things that we should keep in our mind. Sometimes, don't you forget that sometimes we are senders, sometimes we are receiver. Right now, you all are receiver. But after 1.5 years, when you are a manager in one of the best organization, you will interact with your colleagues. You are going to interact with seniors. You are going to interact with juniors. And then you are a sender. You are a person who is speaking. Even in college, when you are coming to give your presentation, when you are interacting during the interview time with the interviewer, everywhere you step into the shoes of sender as well as receiver. Sometimes you are a sender, sometimes you are a receiver. So you should keep in your mind, if you really want to bring that effectiveness, if you really want to have great communication skill. And once again, I repeat, dear, I'm not talking only about English. Given a bet, if I give you a topic to speak even in Hindi or your mother tongue, many a times you will repeat only those sentences which you have read, which you have understood, which you have gained right from your classes 4 to classes 12 or during your graduation. But those sentences will not have anything which can generate interest among the audience. Why? Because we are not thinking from the point of view of the audience. Say, for example, if your audience is your teacher who wants to know something about the perspective of competition, the perspective of management, the perspective of pricing, the perspective of marketing a product, the perspective of understanding the financial statement, and if they don't hear those terms, if they don't hear those terminologies or the words which they have explained, what is going to happen? That will lead to break. Hence, now you need to identify what are the terms that you should use when you are communicating. Say, for example, when I ask you to give a presentation on the topic new challenges in the role and responsibility of manager. You all should understand, gone are the days when managers used to sit in a cabin, a secretary used to be there, and then they used to work in the boundaries of office or the organization. Present day, a manager is a person who is an all-rounder, a master of all trades, but you need to remember, when we say master of all trades, you will require support from the specialist. There is a difference between master and specialist. A master is a person who has honed the skill, who has developed the skill. Like you may have knowledge related to finance, you may have knowledge related to HR, you may have knowledge related to marketing, you may have knowledge related to IT, but you're not specialist, you're not an expert. So you have to work with the expert as a master of these all knowledge and information. So how can you develop that and how can you present that unless and until you are not showing the information that you are gaining. So gain more and more information. And when we talk about gaining more and more information, this is the last slide where I'll be focusing today, which talks about the 7 principles of communication. I want everybody to note the 7 C's that are mentioned here on this particular slide. Whatever you communicate should be clearly understood by the person whosoever is listening to you. If a person is listening to you, should understand the delivered information, delivered message absolutely clearly. If there is doubt, that means there is a break in communication. If a person cannot clearly understand, that means you are failing in communication. You are a bad communicator. You are a poor communicator. If you really want to become good and if you really want to become efficient and effective, the message that you are sharing, the information that you are sharing, the instruction that you are sharing, the order that you are passing, the request that you are presenting, everything should be clear. When I say clear, use right words, use right sentence structure, use right expression. Let me show you a simple example. I want you to finish off the assignment. Now, if I request you all to finish off the assignment in this way, boys and girls, submit the assignment by tomorrow. Now, is this sounding as an order or a request? Quickly, did I sound did I sound in the request mode? The voice, the tonality of my voice, the voice modulation that I maintain, was that requesting or ordering? If it was requesting, write R. If it was ordering, write O in the chat box. Quickly, I want to see how many of you are really listening attentively. Very good for you, Alan. Yes, it was order. Yes, Aradhana, it was more like an order, isn't it? But in case if I have to request, I need to really use soft words. How can I use the soft words? Say, for example, I am requesting my students to submit the assignment by tomorrow. I have to use the words please. Dear students, I'll appreciate if you can submit the assignment by tomorrow. I'll be pleaseful, I'll be grateful, I'll be thankful. So remember the words that we use, and the communication should be clear. It should be concise. Concise means short. Concise word meaning means short. You cannot stretch, you cannot expand. You have to always keep your communication short and sweet. Concrete. When I say word concrete, concrete means it should have some proof. It should have some evidences. It should have certain facts. If you say that I am a good student, but if your result shows only 40%, 45%, or 50%, will that match what you are saying? Yes or no? Will it match to you what you are saying? Say, for example, you are scoring only 40%. You are scoring only passing marks, that is 35 to 40%. And then you say that I'm an excellent student. I'm a student who is working very hard. I'm a studious. I'm a hardworking person. I'm a hardworking student. Is this matching? If it is matching, M. If it is not matching, N. Quickly in the chat box. If you believe, if you score 35 marks, 40 marks, and then if you say that I'm a good student, of course, Farid, it is not matching. Isn't it, Aradhana? Why is it not matching? Because the evidence that you are presenting, the proof that you are saying is totally mismatching with what you are saying, right? So you have to always deliver the communication with concrete evidences. And how can you add those concrete evidences? Say, for example, if I say Bihar is a thickly populated state. If I say that Bihar is a thickly populated state, people will not believe me, right? People will say that, oh, Bihar is such a small state, and again, we don't have any facilities in Bihar. How can you say that Bihar is a populated state? No, I don't believe this. But when you just say that as per the census, as per the census, which or as per the record, as per the records of the government, the total population of Bihar is 124 million or 12 crores or 12.4 crores. What is going to happen? People will listen to your next sentence with more empathetic way. They'll listen to you in more attentive way. Why? Because you're proving your statement with some kind of information which is concrete, right? So I hope you could understand, whenever you are presenting any information, it should be clear, short. Another word that we have used for short here is concise, simple and short. Then concrete, with relevant information, with relevant facts and figures. Correct, again, correct is very, very important. Say, for example, I said it should have relevant facts and figures. Now, relevant facts and figures doesn't mean in order to make people happy, you are going to add any number. Now, if I say that the students of ISM are getting well placed, I'll not say that they are getting international placement. No, they did not. Why? Because they are not working on their communication skills. Again, if you really want to get that international placement, or if you really want to have a better position in your life, you have to work hard on your own. So if you are not working hard, and if I give a fake information, for the time being, you will be attracted. But the day when you are going to explore, the day when you will come to know about the fact, you are going to distrust me. You're not going to obey and listen to what I have said. Even if I have said something which is correct, you'll always judge, you'll always think that I have always presented or portrayed wrong information. So correct information is very, very important under the segment called communication. Coherent. Coherent means logical connection between sentences. I repeat, whenever we say coherence, coherence means connection between one sentence with the other. Whatever we are presenting, whatever we are stating, whatever we are trying to communicate should be logically connected between the different sentences. Otherwise, if it is illogical, people cannot understand. Hence, keep this in your mind. Coherence. Coherence is equal to logical connection. Words should be logically connected. Statement should be logically connected. Why are we talking about coherence? Say, for example, during an interview process, if the interviewer asks, why should I hire you? You have to bring that logical answer in front of him. During the course of PGDM, what are the skill sets that you have nourished, that you have nurtured, that you have enhanced, and that you have honed? You have to present all that with certain facts and figures. Say, for example, if you just say that I have studied PGDM course at ISM Patna and I have good communication skill, good leadership quality, now that is the reason why you should hire me. Where is the proof? Why the person should believe your terms? You have to present that proof. How can you present that proof? That is what it is talking about, the concreteness. How can you bring that concreteness when you say that, look, sir, after my first year course, I did my internship, and because of my internship, if the organization has offered you pre-placement offer, if there was a certificate that you have received that you were very hardworking and you have done your job extremely good. As an intern, you were very hardworking. You have really achieved certain goals, certain set of objectives, even during your internship. That will present your logicality of saying that why the company should hire you. So keep this in your mind whenever we talk about communication. It starts from clarity, then conciseness, concreteness, correctness, and coherence. Last two are very, very important. Complete information should be shared. Anything if you hide, anything if you don't disclose, anything if you confide means hiding from others. When you are not sharing things with others, when you are keeping it only up to you, that will always give incomplete information. That incomplete information should be avoided, eliminated. Why? Because you want to convey things in a right way. And finally, courteous. The language that we are using, be it Hindi, English, any language, even if you're speaking Bhojpuri or Maithili or Maghi, please remember you need to be courteous. You should not show or you should not boast, you should not bring that harshness in your voice. Always try to mellow down, always try to give respect, always try to understand the thing what the audience is thinking. If I'm talking to my friend, what is his mind now thinking? If I'm talking to my teacher, what is it my teachers are thinking? If I'm talking to my student, what is it my students are thinking? So I need to really understand their level. If I don't understand their level, what will happen? It is going to lead the gap or it will create the gap. It will generate the gap. So I have to get rid of this gap. How can I get rid of this gap? By following all these 7 C's. If you follow the 7 C's of communication, right from clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, and courteous, you will see that you will apply all these 10 commandments in your communication. That is, there will be clarity in whatever you are presenting, there will be clarity in the language that you are using. You will come to know, when I say quantum, that means you will come to know how much to talk, whether I'm talking too much or am I talking too less, how much to talk, whether I'm using the right medium or not, whether the climatic condition where the people are sitting, where the people are listening to me, is that appropriate or not? Are they really listening to me or they are pretending as if they are listening to me? Is there any unintentional communication? And if there is any unintentional communication, what do we understand by unintentional? Say, for example, if I say something to someone, and if I've hurt his emotion, if I've hurt his feeling, if I've hurt his or her his or her understanding, or if I did not respect him or her, don't you think that the person will never listen to me? Unintentionally, we many a times share wrong communication. Hence, we should avoid it. We have to corroborate our statement. Corroborate, again, good word. Everybody should note this down. You have to connect the statements based on your action, which can link from one statement to the another. Coherence, corroborate. That means having a proper logical linking between whatever you are stating. People should understand your action 1, connecting it with action 2, connecting it with action 3, and they all know that action 1, action 2, action 3 are in sync. They are in proper line. After 1, you will go with 2. After 2, then you will go with 3. Let us understand with a small example. When you are asked to introduce, the first thing that you do is you'll always say your name, isn't it? You'll not start your statement saying that I'm pursuing PGDM from International School of Management and my name is so and so. No, you're not going to do this. If somebody is asking you to introduce yourself, you'll not even say your father's name. You'll not even say that my uncle is so and then give your introduction. You will always start it with your name first. Why are you giving your name first? Because that is what they have asked. They have asked you to introduce yourself. You need to corroborate those statements so that people can logically connect and understand what you want to communicate. Why? Because communication is a two-way process. If you don't communicate in a right way, people cannot understand it in a right way, and you cannot expect right action from their end. If you are a sender, the receiver should understand it in an exact same way. Only then he is going to reciprocate, he is going to respond, he is going to reply to what you want to listen to. Hence, honing your communication skill. That means you can practice, you can improvise your communication skills once when you really follow the 7 principles of communication. That's all in today's class. This is the end of chapter 1. of our topic called as communication skill. In case if you have any doubts, I'll appreciate if you can really unmute your speaker and ask me your doubts so that I can rectify them. I can help you in understanding the concepts clearly. Yes, please. If you have any doubts, don't hesitate in asking.
No doubt, ma'am.